Moving forward, though, talking about this bombshell piece of news to end the show today. Amazon's potential acquisition of AMC. Now, we could talk about the newsworthiness of this. Maybe, Joe, I'll throw it over to you to kind of give maybe a breakdown of like the reporting and stuff like that. The one thing angle I do want to approach this from, and I made some notes here too that I want to get to, is this is all speculation, first off. This is all speculation. Nothing's been confirmed or really denied, which I think is the biggest thing. Like, there's nothing, it's been a couple days since this story broke. Nothing has been denied from AMC or Amazon's part, which tells you there's some sort of, you know what I mean? There's some sort of wine and dining, hopefully 6 feet apart, going on between the two. But as far as this goes, I want to talk about what an Amazon-owned AMC Theaters could bring. And I think that's an interesting angle. We'll talk about that in a few. Joe, you want to give just a quick summation of the news that broke this week?
Yeah, sure. So basically, the article kind of just goes into what we've discussed previously on the show, where at first AMC was in possibly going bankrupt at one point. The article actually brings up that the company stock has gone down 70%, basically, and then we also went on to the whole when Charles World Tour came out, the film that finally dethroned AMC apparently and made them go enough is enough. They came out and they said we're no longer showing Universal films anymore. So basically now what's being reported is that that Jeff Bezos basically wants to take over AMC. I'm reading the article basically from Fortune magazine right here. Whole Foods. I'm sorry, I don't know why I read the Whole Foods thing, but basically, Amazon's looking to pick up AMC after its stock has just drastically dropped, especially with the whole coronavirus thing that's happening, and that basically a lot of people are speculating as to what Amazon could do with something like AMC. Would they change ticket pricing and whatnot? I'm sure plenty of stuff will go in here today, but basically Jeff Bezos is eyeing basically to take AMC.
Yes, excellent summation right there, Joe. Going forward, though, I want to talk about what this could look like. Great article in Fortune talked about this, kind of breaking down what we could potentially see if this deal were to go through. Again, not confirmed, but it's interesting to kind of talk about. One of the first points Fortune made, and I want to talk about this just briefly too, ticket prices could potentially drop. And the reason we're saying that is because produce and dairy prices dropped pretty substantially at Whole Foods once Amazon acquired Whole Foods a couple of years ago for $13.7 billion with a B dollars. And going forward too, Amazon's always had kind of this unwritten motto. I suppose I've seen this a couple times in articles related to Amazon, is that it's growth at the cost of profits. So that's their kind of motto in a way, is which seems like the motto of failure for business. But I guess when you're Amazon and you're huge and you're a multi-billion-dollar corporation, I mean, I remember ordering stuff on Amazon when I in the early 2000s, back when Amazon even too was almost trying to be more of a bookstore, an online bookstore before they branched out to carry literally everything else outside of plutonium. But with the drop in ticket prices, that's interesting because I could even see a scenario where ticket prices could drop and concession stand prices might go up to offset the cost. It would get more people in the theater, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean that's why a lot of people aren't going to theaters anymore, is because of how much movie tickets are to just bring your whole family, and that's why something like Movie Pass and AMC A-List was doing so successful for a while until coronavirus happened or Movie Pass just completely fell apart.
What do you think, Dominic?
This is how every dystopian society starts, where it's yes, we'll this $1 trillion company will offer you cheaper prices if you just trust us and give us pretty much everything, right? So it's this just shakes me to the core. First of all, well, okay, I don't know how hard do we want to veer left and right? Did you have anything else, Steve?
Okay. I was just going to talk about too, just what it could look like on top of the ticket prices. On top of the ticket prices, I'm going to start a war over here. I'll finish up though at my angle because I want to see where Dom goes with this. The other two ideas too that they proposed, Fortune to be more specific proposed, is that there could be, and I would be stunned if there wasn't, if this deal were to go through, some sort of connectivity to Amazon Prime. when it comes to AMC. Some sort of tie-in. They did the same with Whole Foods. Like, you wonder though, here's my one point I was wondering though. You do think about this. I mean, AMC's in such dire straits that, like, I really would be surprised if they clung to this idea that they were so mortally offended that Universal went ahead and put their movie on video on demand instead of adhering to the theatrical model. But, like, you wonder if AMC might be put off by Amazon Prime's vast video library. And then they're getting into business. They're getting into bed with a company that also says, like, here, stay at home and watch a movie. Rent a movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's one thing I was thinking of personally, just when I was kind of conjuring up the ideas of Amazon owning AMC. And I guess the last thing, this is a very small one, then I'll turn it over to you, Dominic, is that, and this would make me happy, honestly, Amazon Studios films would see a wider, more ubiquitous release. They've been quietly putting out a lot of great films. The Big Sick was an Oscar-nominated film, one of the best films of that year, too. You had the remake of Suspiria. You had Late Night, which was the Mindy Kaling comedy, and you also even had Beautiful Boy, Timothy Chalamet, Steve Carell drama. So Amazon Studios films, I mean, you would think would be in 3,000 theaters every, you know what I mean? At least in all the AMC theaters, big and small, if they were to acquire it.
And if the Oscars decide to pull back on their rule, they always have, like, hey, we did have a theater run. Technically, we only just did an AMC, but it was a theater run.
Very true. Very true. Dominic, you're chomping at the bit here. What do you have to say about this?
Well, no, I'll jump off that by saying that I'm always glad when actors are getting work, scriptwriters, all the various positions that come with making a movie. I'm glad that they're getting work, and that yes, these movies are getting wider release. I love The Big Sick, so to see that get a wider release, I'd be more than happy for. And the last thing here on the Fortune article is that ironically enough, Amazon original movies get a brick and mortar upgrade, which is actually kind of how Amazon over the past 15 or so years, maybe like 10 years, where Amazon started off going all digital, pushing that, innovating that, the online marketplace, and then how they're just coming back retro chic, getting back into the actual physical realm. I know that outside of North Central College, they have this giant yellow wall just outside of the Wentz Concert Hall where they have this Amazon like bookkeeping thing. I don't even know what that thing does, but it's like, goddamn, they are everywhere now. And it's just part of their grand strategy of getting back into the physical. Same with the purchase with Whole Foods. Same with all the other things I'm sure Jeff Bezos has freaking bought that we don't even know about yet, or at least it's playing right in front of us and we haven't really processed. What I'm saying is the stock market is bullshit. And how no. I'll truly keep it focused, but the fact that it jumped 56% just at the thought of Jeff Bezos just even thinking about possibly buying AMC, and the fact that, well, first of all, the fact that it jumped 56% to $6.41. That was actually what caught me off guard even more, because I'm like, damn, really? they are really not going so well, AMC. But
56% bump, and they still at under $10.
Yeah. But the other thing that I think should really come as an alarm, kind of alarm bells for everyone, if they haven't been rung already, is the very last paragraph, which kind of irks me. But the very last paragraph of the paragraph says, "Sound illegal?" The fact that Amazon is not only makes movies, but will now get into the business of distributing movies, all in-house, kind of that vertical ownership of production, taking it back to like 7th grade social studies. But sound illegal? Under current legal precedent, it is. A 1948 Supreme Court ruling, United States versus Paramount Pictures Incorporated, bars film studios from owning their own theaters in the name of antitrust. Yet in late November, the Justice Department's antitrust chief, Mark Delarim, I don't know, some corrupt motherfucker, announced his intention to terminate those rules, describing them as no longer needed. So if that decision were to come to pass, there would be a 2-year sunset period. But it's going to happen. In 2 years, you're going to see this happen for sure. Just knowing how whether or not, whatever administration it is, just how, corporations are just, taking over left and right. This is how you get Lex Luthor. right, is what I'm getting at, right? So Jeff Bezos lost all the hair, so did Lex Luthor, and we're slowly creeping up on this dystopian future. And no, really, but if you're interested in it, United States versus Paramount Pictures really is a landmark decision from the Supreme Court, because during that time, and way back in 1948, the movie industry was dominated by they were called the big five studios. You can find all this in Wikipedia. And it really is a fascinating case, because it really set a precedent on what trust busting or antitrust or breaking monopolies really meant to people. And that was something that really hit home for everyone, because it was about the movies. Obviously, you could argue that a lot of other trust busting things, how things are made, factories, corporations, blah, 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 they affect everyone even way more. But with the movies and how everyone loves the movies, they obsess over it to the point where we have this whole podcast about it. That was really a landmark case. And then to see that be rolled back truly as a sign of the times, not just this administration, but really just over the past so many decades that we've been ignoring these rules. And so you will, yes, you will walk into a movie, see the Amazon made by Amazon Studios production card in an Amazon theater, scanned in on your Amazon account, Amazon Prime account, and then on the movie screen you see starring so-and-so actor bought and raised for in an Amazon lab, which is which I joke, and not that I don't even know if that's kind of where they're headed towards, but if you look up stories like the history of Judy Garland and how she was raised to be an artist, or even others like Michael Jackson, and just the horrible conditions these child actors, child entertainers have gone through, and how that really messed them up as individuals. Maybe we'll see that happen again. I don't know, but that's what happens when a single company is essentially ruling your life. And if you ain't paying attention, I sound like a crackpot theorist, but man, it's getting out there. Rant over. Steve, I'm sorry. Back to you.
Not at all, man. There's a lot to chew on in that statement, and I think that when it comes to even to the trust busting laws, you're 100% right. That was another point I was going to bring up too. It's almost like too convenient, even in a way too. How that was just fairly recently rolled back, that whole landmark Supreme Court case that involved Paramount Pictures. How that was rolled back even to make something like this feasible. And you raise a very, very compelling point, because I've said it before too. I think this. Some people will still say this is a crackpot theory, but I don't believe it. I've said it for a couple of years, and I think it's only grown more and more true. America has basically become like an oligarchy. I mean, overall. I mean, it's run by corporations. It's dominated by corporate powerhouses, too. I mean, I was even talking to a friend this morning about the Telecom Communications Act of 1996, which basically bodied local TV and radio and made it so made it annihilate the radio industry even so far that a lot of corporations even companies became just a handful of corporations that own all the media you consume, too. So then couple that, too, is local radio, local television. It gets bought and paid for by billionaires. And then you lead to a very dangerous precedent. But if it connects to your Amazon Prime account, I guess it's all okay then.
Yeah, that's true. And hey, full disclosure, I've got an Amazon account. I bought that keyboard, which is blurred out, but I bought that keyboard over there off Amazon. Chelsea's bought a bunch. Yeah, we all participate in Amazon, and that doesn't invalidate what we're saying here. But if anything, it strengthens it, because as these things happened over a long period of time, bit by bit, piece by piece, block by block, it will take over everything, and soon you cannot escape it, right? It's not like, I'm gonna patronize this corner store over here instead of this one. No, it's your life. Think about how many people rely on Gmail, on Google Docs, so many things that you don't realize. That's one major company. Microsoft. I could keep going down this, but bringing it back to the movies, it's just another case of, if you don't pay attention to the business behind movies, and the real business stuff, what like this, not who's wearing what, but it'll radically change how your favorite films and TV shows and entertainment is made, how it's distributed, and ultimately how you consume it. And you saw that the big one was Netflix and online streaming, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes these things are just a natural evolution of technology and whatever. That's how it goes hand in hand. But man, this Amazon one is scaring the hell out of me. Like so many things coming from Amazon these days. So yeah.